I'm your host, Riem Zin Labidin, and you are listening to Tech Tag Podcast. Today, our guest is Jonathan Winandy. He's a data engineer and the director at Univalence. I knew Jonathan from the Scala community and I worked with him in Paris. I'm very excited to have him today. So let's meet with him and learn more about his journey. Hello, Jonathan. Welcome to Tech Tech.
Hi, VM. It's great to be able to talk with you. So you wanted to know a bit about my journey through tech, if I'm right?
Yes. And to start, let's talk about yourself, like to introduce yourself to the audience. Who is Jonathan? And tell us some fun facts about yourself.
So my name is Jonathan, or John, and I'm working mostly in data engineering. So I'm with a team of experts in this field, so data engineering around Scala, Spark, Kafka, and all the technology that are used to move data around and make data accessible. And fun fact, when I'm not doing data engineering and any kind of IT stuff, I'm mostly like growing tomatoes and e-surfing, so surfing with electric boards in the Atlantic. That's what I do when I'm not in front of a keyboard trying to build abstractions and move data around.
That's pretty cool. You have a garden or?
Yes, growing tomato is so fun. Like I could talk about tomatoes forever. Um, so it's a raised garden that is very small. Like I need to move, change places, and grow bigger. But it has been a lot of fun lately because I can harvest tomatoes every day now. And the only thing I'm not growing is mozzarella. So I need to buy mozzarella at the shop and then grab the tomatoes in the garden. And they are huge. And since tomatoes are a lot more expensive nowadays, it's like, oh, it could be profitable. But
Yes.
at first it was a lot of fun. It was just me like going to the garden, raising beds so they are manageable, planting and doing some hybridation. And that's it.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Can you remember how the first time you started being interested into computers or programming?
It's a very good question. I've been working in startups, and usually when people around tech in startups present themselves, it's like, "Oh, I've been doing computer since I was like 9 years old or 12 years old, and so on." And good for them. Like they are really talented people. My first computer that I owned and I then programmed just after I was 19 at the time. I was 19 and I was starting the engineering path. So after 3 years of study. So I'm a bit of a late bloomer in this field. Like I was programming a bit my Texas Instrument like 82 when I was in class. So I was doing some programming with basics. But really what happened is like I got a computer when I was 19 years old, and then 6 months after I had to deliver a database project. So it was very fast. It's like I had to learn things in no time, and it was a lot of fun. And it was very fun to start with SQL, actually. I had a very good mentor in SQL at school, in my engineering school, and he actually pushed me in the right direction. So it was great to have someone to give you like a path to follow, and then you follow, and then I was able to learn a lot in a couple of months around data management and building like web projects that would serve data in database, data migration, and all those things happened in a couple of months. So that was the beginning. It was a bit rough. It was a lot of all-nighters. I would say, yeah, even if you are young, like working at night until 4 to deliver projects that were way like done after like planned deadlines is not something that you want to do. And even if it provides you good skills and experience, I still cherish that time, but I don't think that's the right way to start. Like it's a lot of pain also.
I can imagine.
So I would not encourage that, like to really like have projects that would eat your life for a couple of months. Yeah.
Yeah. During these months, I can imagine how stressful it was. It is very difficult at that moment, but it is worth it at the end. You realize that you have learned a lot, right?
Yes. You get two things. Like you never proud to deliver something so late, even if you realize only way after the budget was too tight and it was not your fault. The project was 2 years late at the end,
Mhm.
and it was planned for a 6 month project. The last version was delivered like 2 years and a half after the beginning of the project. But then you realize when you grow and when you make this path as your path professionally, you realize it's okay. Like it was supposed to be at least a year project and it was supposed to be better funded.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so at the beginning, you say, wow, I could have done better. I could have done way better.
Yes, that's true.
And then the time passed and say, oh, no, that's fine. It's a project as any other. Like just was not planned correctly at the beginning. So at the beginning, you have a bit of guilt, and then I realized like, so I delivered something, so you have maybe too much pride. So you think you can do anything now.
Yes.
And then I started to do mobile development, and I was very bad at it. Like I was successful on my last project around data management, but building like mobile applications in 2009, so just like after the iPhone SDK started to be open.
Mhm.
Well, I was not good at it at all. Like I didn't have enough programming experience to build applications. So you have this overconfidence about your work because you were able to manage a very difficult project during certain time, and then you transfer that to another technology, and then you completely like under deliver. So it's good, it's bad, it's mixed feelings. Like it works, so you're part of it, and then you say, well, it works, so I can do anything now. Like no, like you still need to learn, and you're still learning every day.
Yes.
And there are projects you think you will be able to deliver, and you don't.
Yeah.
Still, you don't.
And during the beginning of the journey, you give it a try for the data management, and then later you try another thing. Maybe also it is a way to see in which direction you should go. Like you try different things, and then you think that you are more into data than mobile. Was it like this?
I still miss like every now and then I want to go back to mobile. For example, like I bought two tablets on Android that are e-inks. So the screen is this ink that is not like a classic like a screen. Like it has like a 3 weeks of battery, and it's more close to the reader you get from Amazon, like the Kindle, than a regular tablet. So I want to go back and to make like a note management system and so on. I think I could like work on this project, and then I have no time because like the data management project are calling me back. So usually you start your career on certain project, and they still like grab you for the next 10 years. So I started with SQL, and I'm still doing a lot of SQL nowadays, despite I'm doing a lot of
Mm-hmm.
Scala. So it's funny that the project you invest like mostly into at the beginning of those years will have huge impact on the decisions you do for a decade.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very weird. Like I still remember all the problems I had. I still remember the abstractions, and then you start to understand all the mistakes you made on those first projects and how they impact like the decision you make on the following one. It's very weird to have those rumination after those years. Like it's like, oh, I didn't do this right abstraction at this time, so I need to develop these new skills to kind of redo this project again, but you are not doing this project again, like you are doing other projects.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I'm mostly directed to data management nowadays. Like I'm not doing any web development or any mobile development, but I tainted by certain experience that I have in my career, like for example, being exposed to SQL at the beginning or being exposed to compilers at the beginning. One of my projects at the beginning when I was ending my engineering degree was run compilers. So it's technique that I still use even on data management. like the way to abstract things differently depending of the stage you are in. So to have multi-stage processing, even when you manage data that are inspired a lot by compilers, and then you move on and you try to learn a lot, like in your path. And there are years at the end you think you didn't learn a lot, and yet you do.
Yeah. I remember a quote. I forgot who said that. The more you know that you don't know. Like you realize that.
Yes, exactly. And there are days you say like I understand nothing about what's going on. I think like the more you grow, the more you understand you know nothing. And it's very fun. Like you have expertise about certain things, but your expertise is actually knowing how much you don't know.
Yeah.
This is how you become an expert.
Because the more you know, you go deeper into the details, and there are more other things and that needs to be learned
Yes,
in every detail. Yeah.
actually, what I find it great is when you meet people in those tech environments and you don't know, you know that this person may know, and you have the courage of the relationship to ask them about it. It's like, how would you do
Mhm.
in this case? And sometimes the answer, I don't know either. And it's so fun.
Yes.
And the fun starts to begin because you know these things is beyond your expertise, and then you say, well, I need to give a call to this guy. Like I didn't talk to him in the past 6 months, and the when you call him, like the conversation is so fluid, like as if it never ended, and say, how would you do it? Like how would you do that? Because I think I'm making a mistake, and the answer, I don't know either. It's like it's very fun. The more you accept like you know nothing, it's better.
Yeah.
I don't do talks nowadays, but at the beginning when I started like 10 years ago, it was simple. Like you would have a database, you would have a program, you would have something that maybe like talk to your program, and that's it. And nowadays, like you have so many technologies that you need to master to even be considered an expert in this field. That
Yeah.
is getting crazy. Like I said, so many papers to read, so many architecture, and it makes everything like way more complicated than it used to be.
Yeah.
Despite we are building stuff that are maybe like more resilient than we used to do, I find it like way more complicated than anything that happened like 10 years ago.
Yeah. The world is also progressing in a way that the data is very important and they need more distributed systems, and you need to look into more solutions.
And to be compatible with the old programs and so on and so on.
Yes.
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 And all the new methods in development that you have, new framework. Sometimes we look like from afar to the JavaScript ecosystem and see all those libraries that popping like and if you wait 6 months, like it's something completely different. It's very fascinating. At the same time, I find it like very weird, like those things are moving so quickly. I mean, are they stable enough? Our methodology mature enough to manage anything, and and it delivers. Like for example, in the Scala ecosystem, I often tell people like what changed in Scala the past few years. Like for example, what changes is the effect management. We have been working like on it for the past 10 years. Like I still remember like 2012 doing like for example tagless final in Scala, and to land to something that is somewhat stable in the past few years is something that is incredible. So it moves in the direction, the methods are way better than we used to have, but the complexity perception is way higher than we used to have. So maybe we are more ignorant like a couple of years ago, but I think also like we are exposed to so much different ways and systems to connect and integrate that it's way beyond like anyone's understanding.
Yeah. And when there are many solutions are available, also it makes it more challenging. You need to learn which one to choose and which direction to go with that solution, and the whole team. It will affect the whole.
Depending on the pricing,
Yes.
depending on the number of time, like recently, we had to adjust the solution depending of the pricing that they provide. Like you say, okay, this thing could be great, but the pricing is that. It's not something that we used to think about before because we would think about how much resources it would take. And so on the same scale, we would put those things.
Yeah.
But nowadays it depends. Okay, so depending on resources, it's depending on number of APIs call or number of other things, and you need to take that into account.
Yeah.
Like fascinating.
Yes.
So still stuck with SQL nowadays. Like I started with SQL, still stuck with SQL, run SQL.
And so after your university, directly you continued what you were doing, and you started working on.
So thing that was very funny is like I had my diploma in 2010, and due to the diploma that I have, it would open opportunities as project manager at the beginning.
Mm,
Which, I mean, if you have any sense of technology, you say like, why would you be a product manager when you're barely like 23 years old? And the reason is because in France, we certain diploma opens to more doors because it's based on competition. I was selected as a project manager in a big energy company at the beginning of my career. And so I did no programming for 1 year
mm,
and this has been crazy. So I'm glad like I exited that path like right away. So I was first I integrated like a Scrum team at the beginning for a couple of months in a software shop, and then I was selected to be a product manager in a big energy company in France. And strangely, like I was a project manager related to billing project around the gas things that we are talking nowadays because of the gas crisis.
mm,
It's like it's very funny. Like you don't know that we already knew it was a shit show at the time. The gas prices
mm,
and the electricity prices in Europe were done in a way that it doesn't make any sense. Um, anyway, 1 year without doing any form of programming, except that I had to manage like project delivered using Java and Oracle
mm,
and maintenance. And I was the only project manager in my team that knew about XML at the time.
mm,
And that was scary because people would manage projects on big organization. I'm talking about projects that involve like 200 to 300 people without any tech background.
mm,
It's like they would only managing deadlines and SLAs and contracts and so on and say, yes, but can we make these things like deployable in less than 30 minutes instead of 4 hours of manual intervention or not? It was very, very weird. Like I was an alien. So I would start work at 7 a.m. Um, like deploying application with operation teams and end work at 11 p.m.
oh,
So really like around the clock and managing deadlines with project manager. And it was very weird. Like my brain was split in two. Is like those blue collars were doing the right things, and those white collars were not having any clue about what to do.
mm.
And so I exited that path right away. Like I delivered my project, exited that path, and went back to startups, to data, to creating projects at companies with the people, like giving them the means to ways to build project around data, and it was very interesting. I didn't stay in the management too long. Like it was not for me at all.
And which point in time you decided to be independent and to have your company?
So at the beginning, but I could not. So when I had my degree, I wanted to build like with someone like to be part of a small project and to build it. And the thing in France is like if you didn't work enough, you didn't have enough money to be a part of those things. Like you need to work a bit so the state can even fund like a couple of years that you do in startups. The way small companies are funded in France is very different. Like you work a bit and then you get funding from the state to build your own project. And if you don't work and if you don't have any work history, you have nothing and you cannot make money as easy as in another country. For example, if you work in the States, you make like a higher salary than you make in France. So you can save like a chunk on the part and then use that chunk to fund your project. In France, you can't. Like you barely like spend on your money that you get. And then you ask the government to spend like a couple of years off, like unemployment, 2 years, to build your project. So you first have to work, then to be really independent, which is weird because you need to have this buffer to be able to kickstart your business, at least to have like 3 to 4 months buffer to be able to start. And you're not able to make that buffer from your existing salaries because your salaries are too low in France.
Yeah.
Like we are paying for social charges, which makes sense. Like we have great healthcare, infrastructure, hospital if they work. But to get back, you need to work a bit and then to get back this chunk of money. So I wanted to do at the beginning and then I was able to work in a software shop that was open and where it was flat, like no hierarchy. We would do our project. We would be paid depending of the project we are in. So it was a group of independent people together, and it was the beginning. Like I was rarely an employee during the last 10 years. Like I was an employee like for this big energy company. I was an employee one time for 1 year for this other startup because I really wanted to join the project and they would not accept any freelancer working for them. So I said, okay, I signed and I took a huge pay cut for the project to sign with them. Like I really like the team. I really like the project manager they wanted me to work with. So I said, okay, take a pay cut and then I come join you. At the beginning, they thought I would never come. Say, oh, no, I really like what you do. Okay, so let's do it together. So I was working my own, and nowadays I'm the director of a small software shop where people are more autonomous. So we are a team of 8, all experts in data, and it's free. So it's not a group of independents, more a group of experts in the same like entity, and it allows to have more flexibility in what we do.
Awesome. I remember when I worked in Paris, it happened that we worked at the same
Yes,
company.
we had the chance to work together. I miss it somehow. Like to have people that have are friendly and that have good skills, and then you continue the conversation over the coffee or over the lunch break. So there is a lot of advantages in remote work, but there are certain setups where you meet the same person every day and then you start to build friendships and to go eat together
Yeah.
and to have those projects. So it was very nice at the time. And I'm afraid like we are not able nowadays to experience that thing anymore.
Yeah.
Not that it's great to have like a long time of commutes every day, depending of where you live and where you work. But I find that I miss the connection that I had in the office space, and that I'm not having at the moment in the project I'm working in.
Yeah. And I remember that you were also one of the organizers of the Meetup Paris user group, right?
Yeah, a couple of again like we don't meet a lot like the past 2 years, but it was very fun. So
Yeah, at that time we joined it a lot together, the meetups.
yeah, we had a good team in Paris of people that would go to meetups together. So one of the meetups that was very regular at the time was the Scala meetup in Paris. Every last Thursday of the month in Paris at the seventh floor of Xebia, so the same room. So Xebia would lend the same room to us like for a couple of years. They were very very friendly, and we would meet around Scala, which would have led to the creation of Scala.io. So the conference, the community conference on Scala in that is running like if everything is fine every year. So we had to pause a bit during the confinement and all. So they made a good team. And then a couple of years after, I kickstarted a meetup called Data Engineering in Paris. And the way we would meet is like the way it was described is like you have a ton of problem due to data engineering because it's a field that is the intersection of political issues in organizations, like who get the data, who work with the data, and all the technical difficulties because we have to work with distributed system. So you have in the same people two responsibilities, like one technical one and political one. And since the healthcare system is not reimbursing us of anything, so we could create a group to drink together and speak about our problems. And it was so fun because we would tell like horror stories around data lakes in those meetups without any talks. So we would just meet, drink, share the horror stories we
Mm.
have in data lakes due to either technical reasons, technical choice, or political reason. We cannot underplay the roles of politics around data, especially in big organization, because the data are the property of one department or one entity, and the processing is another entity, and they never agree on anything unless they fight for a couple of years, and then they converge to something.
Mm.
But then you are in the middle of those fights, and you need to make technical choices related to those political decisions. So yes, that was nice meetups in Paris, like every now and then, having drinks and sharing our real stories around the TEDx. So it's fun because tech people do talk a lot and do share a lot if they are in the right setup. It's not that we want to bash about anything that is happening. Just we need to have the right shoulder to be able to tell what we are really experiencing in those fields.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
it was a lot of fun. It was and then we have a couple of talks at the end, but it was mostly the talks were usually light. We tried to keep it as short as possible so that
Mm.
people can talk together and share those experiences.
Mm. Yeah.
That was a lot of fun, and I made a lot of friends in those groups. Like still like talk to them despite the distance and all, and sometimes I visit them if I had the chance to. So a large part of my friends nowadays are from those groups.
Yeah, that's very cool to have a community. Also, when you have technical questions, you know that some people who are maintaining such like one of the libraries that you are using, you can ask them any question and
Yes,
they are friendly
yes,
or something. This is very cool.
yes. People don't realize if you are having those relationships, the amount of line of code that are shared like that over phone calls or over like talking to the right person. Like for
Yeah.
example, hey, I have this problem with Spark, it's not reading my dataset properly. Did you have any issues with that? Yes, I have this kind of code, like I can do 4 lines to you that would save like you 2 days of work. And I think like people don't ask a lot about it. Like they think that they need to suffer on their own instead of having the chance to ask another expert about it. And usually people are really happy to be able to help. Like, oh, I have this problem. Like, can I help? Yes, as long as the question is formulated properly and you prepare the groundwork. Like,
Yeah.
you can have my time for free. Like, you don't need to pay those huge fees. It's like I would be happy to help you and to help you level up and or even to learn something or even to tell you that I don't know.
That's very nice.
So and I think like people don't realize it's possible. Like they sometimes go to Discord and they find someone and they ask, but they have a partial answer instead of having someone that would actually go in the trench with them and fix their problem for them. Like I'm not saying like those communities and forum and chat are not working, just they are not as powerful as they could be.
Mm, yes. And I think this is also could be useful for the audience about taking the opportunities to join some technical events or like
It's
communities.
more what I find missing is like people don't get the courage to ask other people about something. I've seen like people think like my DM are open. It's like, yeah, but nobody is doing anything. Like, for example, we have a library open, like open source library, and we have a Calendly link, and I think like nobody clicked on it.
Mm.
Like you can ask anything, click on the link, and you have like 20 minutes with us. Like, would you come? It's like, no, nobody is clicking. So it's very weird because at the same time we are over solicited to have meetings with people offering solutions and to present us something, but we don't take the time to really solicit people and people that would appreciate your questions and would be happy to help us. So it's what I find a bit weird somehow. It's like you have a huge amount of people that are experts and you can just ask them in their DM and they would help you if you are formulating the question correctly and make the groundwork. I mean that you are like showing that you are working on your questions.
I think it is difficult to get the courage to ask people because it depends. There are nice people. There are like we don't know if, for example, someone offers that feel free to ask any question or something like this. Maybe it will motivate others to ask or something like that. I know that if there is an open chat like in Discord, like anyone can ask questions, but sometimes it can feel scary for people who start and who doesn't know if the group of people are nice, if they will ask questions.
Yeah, depending on the community,
Yeah.
indeed. Yeah, it takes a lot of courage to do that, and it's why I'm glad to have a small group of experts. So if I don't know, like just go to our internal Slack and ask for something. It's like, have you seen this kind of bug in, for example, this kind of security dependency in Java? Like, do you have any idea? And the answer sometimes is no, and sometimes yes, I did that. And at least you understand like you are free to ask, and there is no judgment. Like it's okay if you don't know.
Yeah. And would you like to promote the conference?
So the one we are organizing. So we are rebooting with the community like Scala.io this year. So that would be the conference is in the 4th of November in Paris this time, up in Lyon. And yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Like we try to make sure that there are times so you can exchange with the community, so you don't have to go to talks all the time. Try to make it balanced. And we have a couple of talks, so it will be way smaller in terms of content than the previous edition of Scala.io because we shrinked it to only one day and two talks at the same time. But it's a great moment for the community to meet and exchange around Scala and the way Scala is moving nowadays with all the new features with Scala 3 and the women edge effects and certain movement in the overall community. So it's nice to have it back. It's a lot of work to organize a conference, as always. And I'm not alone on it. Not at all. Like there is Fabrice that is working like I would say night and days on it to make it happen. So he's taking the large chunk of the load around this conference. But we needed it, so we made it happen. Like we needed to have this community event back and running so a couple of hundred of people can meet and share their experience and see that they are not alone and they share an interest in the same technology.
That's cool. I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
it.
Yes, I can't wait. Like it's a lot of work, but I can't wait to be in November and to see those people and to give them their badge and to welcome them back to the conference. Like the 4th of November at 8 o'clock, it's gonna be very fun to be there, behind the table at the reception and to give them their badge back and say welcome back. We're running again. Like I
Yeah.
can't wait.
And I wonder about like now with your career path, what are you thinking about? Like, what is next? Do you feel like you are doing what you love? Is it exactly the same thing that you want to do, or are there something you would like to
Am I
reach?
doing what I love? I think it's not complete. Like I had the chance to be exposed to people with great ideas and like the way they would run technology to be different. Like I was very sad when Joe Armstrong died, like the creator of Erlang, because I had the chance to have workshop with him and to see him at conference in London. And I thought I learned so much from him, and I mean, he died too soon, way too soon, because then you realize, okay, oh, I had the chance to meet him personally, which people after me won't have. And the same like with the Clojure community, like I had the chance to be a part of this community as well, and they promote ideas that are way underdeveloped outside of the community. And so I feel that I'm not programming the way I should program because it would require a total change of mindset from especially the clients.
Mhm.
And the experience I had in those communities, like, oh, this is crazy. Like, we can do that. Like, we can maintain a program without stopping it. Like, is it possible to have open deployment like that, or to even like work on a program without just restarting? Like, I had the chance to use Clojure a lot in audits, to do data audits, and never had the same amount of performance in any other language. You would start the audit is a couple of days, and you start your Java virtual machine, and you don't stop it until you end the audit, and you produce all the pieces. So if there is something that is missing, a tool for analysis and so on, you just integrate the tool in the runtime. You just push the program. You are in the flow, and you just push things around, and you feel like some of an artist, like you are close to your instrument.
Mhm.
You don't have some kind of string of 15 meters between you and the instrument you manage. You are directly with your hands on it. And so I don't know, because the choice I make today is I'm making the more time pass, I'm making people way further away to those environments where I would be so close to the program that I would really touch it and manage it as if my fingers were passing the barrier and were directly in those programs managing values. So it's very disturbing to have touched that and then to come back to more like general programming, general composition and abstraction. And not that I'm saying that I'm not delivering anything due to the change. The thing is like when you work in teams, the choice you make makes the team productive enough, and you're able to provide values. It's just the way program can exist could be so different that it's disturbing to do things the way I do them nowadays. Like it feels like I'm still in the dark age of programming, despite I'm working with one of the most advanced language out there in my day-to-day. So as for a programmer, I may not finish the path. Like I don't know if this is the right path and I will continue that path, or if I would take different directions, run data and run programming,
Mhm.
and to find something I'm really comfortable with and that would really like connect to the way I could work. As a person, the more time passes, the more I'm going back to working outside computers. Like for example, gardening, surfing,
Mm.
3D printing. That's not of 3D printing nowadays. So I'm glad to have those paths that are separated, like to be able to do different things and to not just like spend as I would have done in the past 80 hours per week on
Mm.
something, but to spend like a good chunk on programming around data and then a good chunk about something else, like for example, trying to solve solutions in the real world, building techniques around 3D printing, for example, relearning stuff and building things in the real world.
Yeah. Yeah, that's also healthier because it's a lot if you will continuously do the same routine a long time in the computer.
It would never end. I have so much unfinished open source project that I could contribute to, advertise, tell the world like they could use it, like for example, optimization of data pipelines, other things that would move the data differently and make you, I mean, work through data and so on.
Mhm.
But also my garden is not finished as well. So
Yeah.
I need to prioritize. And as time passed, the season changed as well, and we are in autumn, so the tomato will not grow as good as in the summer.
Mm,
So the time is ticking differently.
yeah. Before we're wrapping up, if you have something else you'd like to
I
share.
think something that I was not sharing, I mean, or insist enough is how much people can really change you in this field. Like the way you would meet with experts and they change your path as mentoring. But as what really changed me in the first few years is the way I would interact with end users. And for example, coding with people that actually are the clients of your work and that would
Mm,
use the value they provide. And coding directly and showing not how easy it can be, because it's never easy, but how simple it could be, and the way they ask is actually like not something weird and accept they want something different and make the software work in the direction. So something that really disturbed me at one point in time is like I've gave full repository access to one of the clients as well as a continuous deployment platform. But it was like more than 10 years ago. So we were barely talking about those things. And at one point, the client started to solve the logic mistake we made implementing the program. And I asked him, like, what did you do? He's like, I use a text search and then I tried it. And since you opened the continuous deployment platform, I knew that I would not break anything. So, and the versioning was working. So I just fixed it. It was easier than doing a ticket. I know that you do great work. I know that programming is not easy, but solving that it was something that I could do.
yeah.
That is something, and it's something I have not found like since
Mm,
having end users solving directly, if they can, in the code base, things that were not working or not fitting the specification, and that saves like tons of time and that provide values to the people that are using your software. So
yeah.
that was some of the experience that I had in my past that still disturb me today is like, can I do that now? Like the technology is so much better in that direction, but I am able to do that again and to work in some form of organic composition with people that need the software we use and the people that build it in a way that is way more efficient than what we think would make it efficient. For example, like all the project management methodology or the way we would tackle like the needs of clients. So yes, that's not an advice. It's like the advice would be meet new people and open up and they rarely want to eat you, like they mostly want to work with you and to join your forces, and you may have incredible experience if you are ready to open up.
Mm. So, do you have like something that you wished you have known before?
This one is very important. It's something that I wish I known, and I think mentoring is very important as always. Coaching, mentoring is very important as always.
Mm, yeah.
You can go alone very far, but having someone to really talk openly about what you do is something that could change
Yeah.
you. And but the thing is, I find it very hard to find someone to do that, especially when you grow older. You need to have people where you share the thing that are not working currently, the way you have successes nowadays, and what disturbs you. It's very difficult to find those people, and it's very difficult to have a working process with them.
Yeah.
But if you are young enough, there are people that are willing to do that for you and to give you a path. I find that it's not happening as often as it should be. So the advice is like, if you are young enough, if you are at the beginning of this path, find someone that did it 5 years ago. And even if you think it's a competitor, or even if you think so it works for businesses as well. Even if you think there is a conflict of interest or it won't fit, maybe the more you think about it, the more you should just ask for them to help you and to give you a direction.
Yes.
That happened for businesses as well. Like at one point, I was starting to make a business about something, and I just organized a video with a potential competitor. And he gave me like so much advice that it would change all the direction I would make. And it was really like not in a way that would trick me or deceive me. It was just explaining how much he had problem in this direction and what can help. It works the same thing with humans. It's like if you want to be a speaker, like ask a speaker how they did it.
Yes.
Or if you want to be an expert in some programming field, like ask an expert, like what did you do? Like what did work, what didn't? Can you help me a bit and check if I'm doing the right thing? And
Yes.
people are usually happy to help, especially if you ask good questions. I mean that you know what you made your work and you are asking like in a way that is more open than usual to solve the problem that you have.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, I find it sad that people are not asking that much. Like,
Yeah.
just we have all the tools for and there is not that much rest. Okay, just do it. Like you want to go to the direction, ask this expert. Is like, okay, I want to be you in 5 years. Like, what should I do? And
Yeah.
they would most likely respond correctly to you. It's like that is bold.
It's like a
And
compliment for them also.
yeah, and maybe they don't know how it worked, and maybe they will tell you, I have no idea, and I don't think I am what you think I am. Just ask, and I think people don't ask enough.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And it's a good advice to ask for help or ask for advice. This is it can make things go faster. Even you can do it in any way, but it can be faster when you find someone who has an idea about what you want to do.
Yes, and it changed on the things you are doing like daily, and the more we work in this field, the more we turn to be problem solver, and we need those problems that comes in a friendly manner and to solve them. That would change to the like, huge issue
Yeah.
we are managing every day and all the code quality and the bugs. And so, yes, asking people or being asked about other people's problems makes this job way funnier and way more rewarding than it is.
Yeah. And to get the opportunity to socialize, because most of the time you are working with computers. So it's okay to to interact with humans also and ask.
That's true. That's true.
It was very nice to talk to you.
Yeah, it's always nice to talk to you. That was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks for your time. I'm looking forward to our next episode with a new guest and new inspiring story. Until then, stay safe and stay tuned to our next episode. Tic Tac, tackle the inspiration.